folks? How you doing? This is American Liberty Radio Network, American Liberty Radio on Spreaker.com. If you want to host a show on Spreaker, hey, consider it. Spreaker, Spreaker.com. They have a package that fits your budget if you're so inclined to want to host a show or record a podcast. They got all the tools you need. Spreaker.com. Welcome to the American Liberty Radio Network right here on Spreaker.com and at AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Yes, I'm also on iTunes and Google Music and Google Play Music. That's what it is. I'm also, I'm just all over the world. So welcome. Welcome, everyone, to the American Liberty Radio Network podcast for the 25th of August, 2017. How are you? I always like to ask that. It's almost rhetorical, but it really isn't because I want some interaction with you. So if you go to American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook and drop in a few lines of what's up in your life and send me some links as to what's happening in your area, that would be awesome. You know, I just want to say, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that because there's, this thing going on, but I was called out on a few things. Yeah. Isn't that lovely? That's just fantastic getting called out on a few things. But, here's what really has, here's why I'm saying anything. I hope that people call me out on things. I hope that people have the decency and the intelligence to be able to call me out on things. I really do. Because I'm going to do that to you. You give me false information or completely wrong information, I'm going to call you out on it. That's all there is to it. Now, the information that I shared on a Facebook post was called out, and I had and this person and I, messaged each other, and they messaged me, and all that first, and so I explained myself a little bit to them and my background and all that, and they're just like, oh, okay, maybe someday we'll, sit down and talk about where we come from. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that's good, and that whole conversation ended in a very positive note, which was really cool. It wasn't, calling me out on just because, it wasn't that. It was literally, it was something that they were concerned about. And so they said a few things and messaged me, and we talked in the messenger and everything. And yeah, it turned out to be a very positive thing. So I'm glad, so things like that happen. And that's happened before, but this one was, cut close to the heart. So I figured, well, they wanted to know. So there you go. And it turned out to be very positive. So I'm glad that happened. And, so there you go. I drink coffee, folks. I like some of the foo-foo stuff. We got a little place here called Mountain Mud. A little, it looks like one of them old-timey, 1 hour photo booth type things, so it's a little booth that's on the side of the road in a parking lot somewhere. And there's like several of those around town. And that's really, really good coffee. So I have the foo-foo stuff, every once in a while. But right now I'm drinking it, completely black. Oh my God, I triggered somebody. I'm drinking black coffee, folks. Okay. Coffee. It's the substance in the cup in which I drink. So as you can tell, yes, and I am Sorry, I almost imitated NPR there for a minute. I'm drinking coffee. Anyway, let's get on with the news, shall we? Hearing me discuss my situations going on in my life. Hey, big news coming out of Nevada. 4 members of, the 4 members that were tried, because of the Bundy situation down in Bunkerville, Nevada, were found not guilty. But they're going to retry 3 of them, or 2 of them, because the left doesn't like, positive resolutions. They want people to go to jail for, sticking up for another fellow human being and an American citizen against the big Goliath of government trying to steal land through the, policies and procedures of Mr. John McCain, or not John McCain, but, what's his name down there? Harry Reid. Yeah. John McCain, too. He's a traitor. So anyway, so that whole situation has resolved itself in a very positive way. 4 of them. There was a motion for pretrial release for independent journalist Pete Santilli, which, of course, the court denied because that's just the way the corrupt court is down there with Navarro. And so that whole thing is going on before our eyes and ears. If you want to know more about that, there's 2 Facebook pages I want to give you to follow up on those things. And that would be Ashley Jones. Just go to her Facebook page, Ashley Jones, and go to Deb Jordan. That's her Facebook page, Deb Jordan. Follow up on all of what's going on in Nevada with those 2 Facebook pages, and you'll get the lowdown on what's happening. Now, every time someone is voted into office as president, you get this feeling that the president needs this huge, incident to happen to prove his worth. And we saw it with President George W. Bush, 2001, September 11th, And we saw that again with Obama, who didn't do too much, but was, met with some opposition as well in 2008, 2009. And now we're seeing it with President Trump. We're always going to have conflict. Does not matter where you are, who you are, what you're doing. You're always going to have conflict. And the leader of the free world, being President Donald Trump, is always going to be met with opposition. Now, a lot of people would say, well, he's not worth anything. So, he's a businessman. What's he know about, war and about, all these things? Let me share with you a word that's called logistics. Every business has to deal with certain logistics in their company. In other words, if there's a company that distributes food and, whatever, and it's a trucking company, they have to deal with logistics. If it's an advertising company, they have to deal with outside vendors and outside people, and they have to deal with logistics in a way. So President Trump is no different than anyone else. He has to deal with the logistics of the planning and execution of certain policies and procedures. And he's done that in business for a long, long time. So I think he knows what he's doing in that regard. But he's met with this whole attitude, this whole world, this whole United States being divided by its own people, by way of George Soros and other leftist organizations. He's met with this conflict. And now, how is he handling it? Well, from my perspective, he's handling it pretty damn well. The thing that I see that the president is doing is really putting, calling people out. Seriously. This whole thing that the president is doing, I mean, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think he's biding his time. I think he's waiting to see what his opposition is going to do, and then he's going to, not only let the other shoe drop, but he's going to throw the damn shoe on the floor and just, say enough's enough. And the trends, the things that I'm seeing, the things that I know, of course, with previous administrations, I think this is going to happen. Again, I could be wrong. But I really think that he's looking at his opposition and saying, let's just give them a little more time and a little more rope to hang themselves. And when they get on the gallows and put the rope around their neck, then I'll pull the handle. I think that's what he's waiting for. But I don't know. I could be wrong. New study finds Muslims and leftists responsible for vast majority of anti-Semitic hate crime. Figures bust myth that quote-unquote right-wingers are the biggest hate crime threat. Major study, this is from Paul Joseph Watson, Infowars.com, 25th of August, 2017. Thank you, Paul. A major new study has found that left-wingers and Muslims are responsible for the overwhelming majority of anti-Semitic hate crime in several different European countries. The study, Anti-Semitic Violence in Europe 2005 to 2015, was conducted by Johannes Du and Instad of the Oslo-based Center of Studies of the Holocaust and the University of Oslo, and was joint published by both institutions. So this is a very credible university, a very credible University of Oslo, and the Center for Studies of the Holocaust, Oslo-based, very credible. So we know right there that it's going to be very well researched, very well put together, and laid out. When asked the question, quote, thinking about the incident where somebody attacked or threatened you in a way that frightened you because you are Jewish, who did this to you? Unquote. Respondents overwhelmingly said that the perpetrators were Muslims or left-wingers. In France, 53% of the cases were perpetrated by Muslims, 18% by left-wingers, and 4% of right-wingers. I don't like the labels, but you get the point. In Sweden, respondents said 51% of the hate crimes were perpetrated by Muslims, 25% by left-wingers, and 5% by right-wingers. In the UK, 36% of anti-Semitic incidents were perpetrated by Muslims. That's 36%, folks, by Muslims. 14 by left-wingers, 7% by right-wingers. 14% by left-wingers, 7% by right-wingers. Only in Germany did respondents cite more right-wing attacks, 11%, compared to left-wing attacks, 9%, although the clear majority of hate crimes, 34%, were reported to have been committed by Muslims. I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio podcast for you because there is more to take a gander at. Do you understand where all of this... Do you understand all of this at its basic core? Okay? Do you get it? Do you understand what's happening? To me, this study is very credible. But I also like to ask you a question on a more personal basis, and that is, what has happened in your environment? You can put your answers or statistics, whatever you want to do, right there at American Liberty Radio Podcast, if you like, or American Liberty Radio Network on Facebook. Either way, either one. Now, years ago, I was heavily into sports. My dad and my brother both played baseball, played softball. I never got into sports unless it had something to do with pinballs and, arcades and, gaming consoles. I'm a child of the 80s, but hey, I love my games. The first TV console game we had was Pong. Remember that? Pong? It was Radio Shack was selling that, and that was my venture into console gaming. That was back when I was a little kid. But anyway, so I was big into sports. And I used to go to all my dad's games. I used to go to my brother's games sometimes, when I had time. And I never got into sports. I never played sports. But I'm a big sports fan. And my teams are, varied across the board. I like, I like my San Francisco Giants and my San Francisco 49ers, but I also like other teams as well. So Jacksonville, I like, Seattle, football teams, Seattle Seahawks, that kind of thing. But baseball has been always in my life. Basketball, not too much. I know the names, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, that kind of thing. Larry Bird, I know. But when you have an arena, when you have a forum, like a sports team or an arena, or you're they just pulled that one person off of ESPN off of a game because his name was exactly like Robert E. Lee's. So they pulled him, which I think was stupid. Somebody got triggered. Oh, my God. But basketball has never been one of the sports, on my list of favorites. But I've watched it. My dad used to, when he was younger and all that, he used to play basketball, He was big into sports, so So, anyway, does the name Charles Barkley ring any bells? I know it's not LeBron James or anything, but Charles Barkley. Big basketball star, right? Charles Barkley labeled a white supremacist for telling black people to stop killing each other. Former NBA star urged African Americans to concentrate on being successful, not getting angry over statues. I chuckle because he's right. He's absolutely 100% right. Okay? Paul Joseph Watson, Infowars.com, 25th of August 2017. According to the left-wing website, The Root, Charles Barkley is a white supremacist because he says black people should stop getting angry over old statues and instead concentrate on not killing each other and getting an education. Quote, why won't Charles Barkley shut the F up, unquote, asks a clearly triggered Michael Harriot, whose story is filed under the category. This is filed under the category at, The Root. It is filed under the category of stupid Negroes. Okay, that's Michael Harriot, The Root. His question is, why won't Charles Barkley shut the F up? That's not me. That's him. Quote, is there anyone who thinks that Barkley's statement about race reveal anything other than his repeated willingness to throw black people under the bus for our stupid unwillingness to assimilate into whiteness, unquote, he rants. This is Michael Harriot, The Root. Barclay's thought crime was to encourage black people to concentrate less on getting angry over historical monuments and more on getting an education, working hard, and being successful. He also said black people, quote, need to stop killing each other, unquote. There's a video there associated, or I think it's a video. The rest of the Root article is a rambling, angry screed about how Barclay is siding with the, quote, oppressors of black America, unquote, because he is regurgitating, quote, white people solutions, unquote, to black problems. I'm going to put that, it's a really short article. I should have read the whole thing, but I'll put it up and let you assess the article and draw your own conclusions on it. It's on American Liberty Radio Podcast. It's there for you to take a look at. Hey, folks, I have a question for you. I have a question. I do other things other than American Liberty Radio Network, and even on the network itself, there's a thing called New West Radio Theater. New West Radio Theater is another project that I work on, and I need voices for different scripts I've written, different radio plays that I've written, different, audio one acts and that kind of thing. And I need your voice. And if you are so inclined to be challenged to do something, or if you are experienced and just need to have fun, consider lending your voice to New West Radio Theater. And, if you are so inclined to do that, I am inviting you to lend your voice to New West Radio Theater and to be a part of a growing online radio network. New West Radio Productions, New West Radio Theater. If you have any questions, please ask. That's all you got to do. Just please ask. New West Radio Theater at USA.com. New West Radio Theater at USA.com. The website is newwestradiotheater.weebly.com. newwestradiotheater.weebly.com. Again, if you have any questions, just email me. That's all you got to do. New West Radio Theater at USA.com. New West Radio Theater at USA.com. So, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's get on with the news, shall we? Excuse me. Bullying. Bullying is something that really, I think parents need to be held responsible and jailed every time their child bullies someone else. I don't care if it's another child or an adult, okay? That's just my perspective. RT is reporting there's a disturbing video of a 13-year-old cheerleader forced into splits by coach despite pleas. Now, I bring this up because this is a bullying tactic. This is a bullying tactic. Okay? And there is a positive note out of this. Okay? There is a positive note out of this, but I'm going to read this. I'm going to read just the opening couple of paragraphs, but I want you to see this. This is from RT.com, okay? 25th August 2017. Disturbing video has emerged of a U.S. high school cheerleader coach forcing a 13-year-old student to perform the splits despite repeated pleas from the girl for him to stop. The video obtained by American News Channel 9 Wants to Know shows bulky East High School Denver, Colorado cheerleader coach Ozell Williams forcing his weight down on the slight frame of cheerleader Allie Wakefield. Now, let me mention this right here. Years ago, I was doing some research and I came across several articles and stories about bullying. And I found out that it's not just the kids in high school bullying one another. This happens, parents need to be aware of this. They are, I'm sure. But did you know that teachers are now engaging in bullying the students? I found this out, and it was hard for me to even wrap my head around it. But I thought to myself, why are they doing this? The administration should fire them immediately. And they should not even be able to be a crossing guard. You know what I mean? Well, if they don't have those anymore, but you know what I mean. So there's that to consider. Whimpering, Wakefield began to cry and pleads with Williams to please stop. 9 times she pleaded for him to stop in less than 24 seconds on a cell phone video. Instead, he pushed her further on the shoulders, pushed her down further on the shoulders, increasing the apparent agony of Wakefield, whose legs are all the time being locked by teammates who can be heard giggling. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave that right there. I'm not going to go any further because I want you guys to see this. This is bullying from a teacher, and I say bullying because that's what it is. When you push someone, when you manhandle someone and start saying the things you say and verbally push, physically push them, that's bullying. Okay, period. That is, done. So it's on American Liberty Radio podcast. Bullying is wrong. I don't give one crap if it's an adult, against an adult or a child against a child. If it's a child or a teenager, the parents need to be, I'm going to say it, they need to be held responsible by, number one, the school district, and number two, the state. Because obviously there's a problem here. And the parents obviously do not know how to handle the problem. I'm not saying the state should step in and take the child. No. What I'm saying is the parents need to be talked to. And if the school is doing it to the kids, the parents need to step into the school and say, you either stop or we will sue your ass. And if they don't, then you make sure that the school is no longer able to have those people in that administration. I've seen it done before, folks. Parents have stood up against school districts and against schools for the treatment of their children in that particular school. They have gone to court. The court then saw the parents' side of it, and voila. Administrations changed, principals were fired, administrations were gone, and schools got better. Or in some cases, got better. That's why more and more, if you look, and I talk about education in schools, because if you look at more of the information is coming out, more and more parents are pulling their kids from the state-run governmental indoctrination institutes and homeschooling their children. I recommend that. I highly recommend that. But not a lot of parents can do that. So I understand that portion of it too. That's okay. But please be aware of what the school is teaching your children or indoctrinating them with. And please be aware of all the other things that go on in that school. I know young parents in their 30s right now, or 40s, are, literally considering pulling their kids out of school and homeschooling them. So, yeah. And the schools don't, you know how the schools make money? With your child sitting in that classroom. That's how they make money. When they don't have enough kids in that classroom, on average about 30 to 35 students in a classroom per one teacher, if they don't have enough students in that classroom, okay, that school district begins to lose money. Because the state says, oh, you've had so many absences in a year, you've had people leave the school, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, oh yeah. It's all about the numbers, folks. It has nothing to do with education. And when you look at the current textbooks, you're going to see a lot of left-wing indoctrination in it. You can find these textbooks anywhere. Yeah. You can go to Barnes & Noble, whatever bookstore you got in your town there, and you can find these books. You can go to the Department of Education online and request their list of textbooks for your particular region, your particular school district. Did you know that? Yeah. So you really want to know what your kids are learning? Yeah, I would suggest doing some homework. Yeah, no pun intended, but okay. Speaking of schools, I'm big on education. My number one pet peeve, on top of my pet peeve list, is ignorance. That number one, just put ignorance. Ignoring the obvious or just being totally uneducated. Just, about certain things. That's my number one pet peeve. That is. Washington Times is reporting on the 25th of August, 2017, California first grader sent to principal's office for, quote, unquote, misgendering classmate. Sorry, didn't mean to laugh. Sorry. Little girl unaware boy switched genders mid-year. What? Wait, hold on. First grader. How old are you in the first grade? Yeah. This is from Washington Times. An elite charter school in California has been rocked by scandal since the end of the last school year when a kindergartner teacher read her class a pair of books advocating transgender ideology, and a male kindergartner was reintroduced to the class as a girl. Huh? What? Excuse me? Wait a minute. Pardon me, reality check here. Hold on. Oh, crap, it bounced. What? Excuse me? Let me read that again. You guys are probably out there going, I can't wrap my head around this idiocy. Hold on. An elite charter school in California has been rocked by scandal since the end of the last school year when a kindergarten teacher read her class a pair of books advocating transgender ideology, and a male kindergartner was reintroduced to the class as a girl. Knock, knock. Anyone home? Now, first graders at Rockland Academy Gateway risk a trip to the principal's office if they refer to their transgender classmate by the wrong name or gender pronoun, said Karen England, Executive Director of the Capital Resource Institute, a pro-family group based in Sacramento. What? 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 I just don't get it, folks. Oh, my God. Excuse me? Quote, there was a little girl who had been in class with a little boy all last year, unquote, Ms. England said. Quote, they're in different classes now, but she saw him on the playground yesterday and called him by his name. The little girl was told, quote, you can't do that. His name is this name, unquote. And, quote, you need to call him a her, unquote. Then she was called into the principal's office, unquote. Says read more. I'm going to let you read more and assess this on your own. Let me just say this. In response to that article, let me say this. California. Hey, folks, I was born and raised in Stockton, California, and that was my home for quite some time. And I left. Why? Because California. California. I missed the bottom of the hour break, but that's okay, so I'm going to go now. 2 minutes and 13 seconds, and I'll be back with you. This is American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com.
Late Night in the Midlands is an alternative media that covers the truth, theory, and fact that the lamestream media won't talk about. We cover everything from the known and the unknown, the normal and the paranormal, the government lies and the government ties, and even their thrive. We tell what's coming, what's going, whether it be politics or archaeologists. We have an amazing fan base, and our shows are all archived to be heard millions of times more. So tell your friends, your family, and anybody you care about LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member and be informed.
Growing up terrestrial radio, the future is here. Destroying the liberal media one truth bomb at a time. Independent media is shattering the liberal national security media into a million pieces. Their views of the world are based on the script the government gives them. Independent media seeks out and finds the truth and reports on what is truly going on behind the scenes. Support the truth and facts. Support independent media. American Liberty Radio Network. Hey folks, American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. The music you're hearing is from Ethan Maxell, Driven to Madness. Ethan Maxell, you can find that on YouTube. Ethan Maxell, Driven to Madness, right there. And you can find that on YouTube. Go to it's on there. Just go to YouTube, type in Ethan, and I'll spell his last name for you. Meixsell, Ethan, I guess it's Meixell, Meixsell, and look him up. That piece was called Driven to Madness. So that's pretty cool. Welcome to American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. We'll continue here on the 25th of August, 2017. Breitbart is reporting, it's on Infowars.com, but Breitbart is reporting, migrants turn violent as police remove them from Rome streets. The police operation was met with heavy resistance from the migrants who were camped out at the Piazza Indipendenza. Indipendenza. There we go. I'm not Italian, so sorry. It's in the center of the city. Police in Rome removed 100 migrants from a public square Thursday after they set up camp to protest a lack of housing for asylum seekers. The police operation was met with heavy resistance from the migrants who were camped out at the Piazza Indipendenza. Indipendenza. There we go. Is that how you pronounce it? Any Italians out there? It's in the city center. Migrants threw glass bottles, rocks, and gas canisters at the officers who were attempting to clear them from the area. Salzburger, Nachrichten, Richten, I don't know. It's on there. According to NGO, there's a whole bunch of foreign words here that I can't pronounce. Anyway, I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio podcast. It says read more. There's a video involved in this as well. It's within the story, so check that out. It's on American Liberty Radio podcast right there on the Facebook. So anyway, I got one other article to share with you as well. Let me ask you a question. Let's put this out here. I just want to lay this out here for you. I just want to kind of, get your feel of the whole situation here. If you were downtown in your neighborhood or, in your neighborhood or downtown in your city or walking around the mall or at the gas station or whatever, right? If you were out and about and you were confronted by someone who classified themselves or self-identified themselves as a member of a anti-capitalist group, and them and a few other people started, harassing you, what would you do? I'm just wondering. I was just curious. Go to American Liberty Radio podcast and drop your answer in there. Daily Caller is reporting on the 25th of August 2017, armed Antifa group calls for revolution, seizing property and violence against police. Can you call them a terrorist group now? The group currently hosts anti-police workshops called, quote, Our Enemies in Blue, unquote. Yes, Antifa, I will, and it has now been tossed out into a petition that has been signed by, I believe right now, almost 200,000 people to classify Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. So yes, Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization as far as I'm concerned. They are un-American and need to be rounded up and need to be sent to prison. How about Guantanamo? Hey, there's some islands out there that we found that were previously uncharted. Yeah, why don't we drop them off there? They can do whatever they want. An armed Antifa group is launching a new cell in Philadelphia with support from the alt-left alternative media. The group currently hosts anti-police workshops called Our Enemies in Blue. The group draws inspiration from convicted murderers and calls for violence against the police, theft of goods, and armed insurrection. Antifa websites like It's Going Down or Sub.media and Insurrection News has been promoting the group, which calls itself a quote, or it's not in quote, but it calls itself revolutionary abolitionist movement. Let me go back and read that again. Antifa websites, I didn't know there were any, like It's Going Down or Sub.media and Insurrection News have been promoting the group, which calls itself the Revolutionary Abolitionist Movement, calling on their readers to donate to a fundraiser, that's FUNDRAZR, account for the creation of a new cell. The press release the group published in far-left media is filled with hyperbolic claims about how, quote, mosques are being ruthlessly bombed, unquote, and how, quote, LGBTQ are being battered, unquote. Yeah, let me, it says read more. So as a matter of fact, let me do this. I'm going to hit read more and go directly to the Daily Caller and put that one up. Okay? Because that was on Infowars.com. So let me put the Daily Caller one up for you. Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization that needs to be put down like a rabid freaking dog. Period. Thank you, Ian Miles Chung. Thank you, contributing to the Daily Caller. Appreciate that very much. They need to be put down. Antifa. So, there you go. That's my view on it. A lot of people are going to argue with me. And I know this. And I know this from like years ago as well, because people love to argue with me because they think they're right and they're really not, because no one is completely right and no one is completely wrong. But they love to argue with me about the First Amendment. And they love to use the excuse or the reasoning behind their argument in that, you know, it's not the positive or the good speech that is protected. It's not only that, it's the negative speech that's protected. Okay, I'll give them that. Okay, I'll lay that out on the table of debate, let you guys view that for what you want to see it as. But let me also say this. If free speech is free speech, okay, I get that. I understand that. That's really, really cool. But when you take free speech and you take the First Amendment and the clause in there about free speech and you use it as a license to terrorize or brutalize or bully other people to get your way, you have just defined yourself, either indirectly or directly, as a domestic terrorist. Can you wrap that around your mind? Because that's what these people are. Bernie Sanders supporters, I mean, when you look at his core of his political philosophy and platform, he wanted socialism. I don't give one rip what you think about him personally. He's a damn socialist. That's what it is. When you look at the very core and the very basic foundation of Hillary Clinton's political philosophy and her platform, she is a freaking communist. Okay? I don't give one rip what you think, and if you wanted her as president, she would have taken away your First Amendment right, your Second Amendment right, your Fourth Amendment right, your Fifth Amendment right. She would have just abolished the whole damn Bill of Rights. I don't want to hear it anymore. Okay? I don't want to hear that argument predicated on the excuses that you have of, well, you know, it's free speech. You're a freaking idiot if you think that your free speech is free, because why don't you go talk to 280,000 people that died at Gettysburg years ago? Why don't you go talk to the hundreds of thousands that died in Vietnam? Why don't you go talk to the people that died in World War I and World War II that came from America fighting other people's wars for them, with them? Huh? What's that have to do with free speech? Because let me go back into history, let's just say into the era of Ben Franklin and George Washington and all those folks. Did you know that we were one vote away from having the national language of the United States of America be German. Did you know that? Did you know that there were a lot of other things that were happening in the United States of America prior, or I should say, in the British colonies of the, of the United States? Or the British colonies, or no, the something of that nature. It wasn't the United States prior to 1773. Oh, the British colonies of America. That's what it was. Sorry, the British colonies of America. Did you know that there was a lot of stuff going on prior to 1773 that really led up to the rebellion, if you will, against King George in 1773? We know that historically as the Boston Tea Party. Did you know this? Why don't you take some time and research some history about prior incidences in the British colonies of America? Sergei Amerigo discovered this continent, not Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus discovered Puerto Rico. But then about, a few miles away, he went, wait a minute, somebody told me about this larger continent over here. Let's go over here. I don't think, and I'm just being facetious at that point, I don't think Christopher Columbus ever stepped foot on the continent of America. I don't really think he did. By the way, did you know Sergei Amerigo never discovered America? It has always been here. This continent, this land mass that we have here, was not really discovered, but it was inhabited by people long before Leif Erikson. Yeah. I think it was Leif Erikson. Was it Leif Erikson from, yeah. The reason why I say that is because archaeological digs in areas of the Mississippi and of all that area, and also in areas of Ohio and Nebraska and places like that, have found Norse artifacts. So don't tell me that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Okay? When you land on a piece of land and you don't see anyone around, do you think that it's yours? I don't. Chances are, in the billionths of chances that there are, that when you land on a piece of land, even back then, chances are you're going to encounter some, native people of that land that have been there long before you ever, quote unquote, discovered it. The Clovis people, as they're identified, go look that up. Clovis people. Go to startpage.com and put in Clovis, Clovis, people. You'll find that they were here as well. And they interacted with, all those. Did you know, let me a little side note here. Did you know that in Korea, South Korea, I heard this from a Native American Indian here in the United States who went over there as to do some work in a school, and she came back and she told my friend and I that she was over there and she was, after work, she was going around town checking things out in South Korea. She was, it's a really good place, She heard some people talking in the language of the land. This woman I talked to is Native American. These people in South Korea were speaking their native language. And this Native American woman looked at them and said, I know exactly what you're saying because you're speaking the same language I know. And she began to talk to them. Obviously, some of them speak English as well. But they were going, what? No, yeah, uh-huh. So you tell me, folks, do some research and look into all of this because, yeah, there's a lot going on that we just do not know about, and that the information that is out there is being suppressed. And we need to know more. And we need to understand where all of this, society is going by the trends that we see of the past. We need to know what we're doing today to make a better future for America, for the United States specifically. When I say America, and I clarify it by saying United States, Canada, the U.S., and Mexico are all part of North America. So when I say America, I'm thinking of those three. But when I say the United States, I'm being specific as to where we live. So think about that. Think about how we have undermined our education and have allowed the suppression of truth and facts to be prevalent, that suppression to be prevalent in our schools. They went from educating to indoctrinating. That's why I call them the governmental indoctrination institutes, because that's all they are. From your kindergartners to your, second year undergrads to universities all around the United States and around the world. They're nothing but governmental indoctrination institutes. It's better to homeschool. Most of the information that I have and have had most of my life comes from taking a book off my mom's shelf in the hallway of our home. I just started pulling books off and reading them and understanding and going from there and just reading, looking and even reading dictionaries and encyclopedias and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how I was educated. The school wasn't teaching me anything. The school wasn't teaching me crap. It was just it was teaching me crap. Gave me the basics, reading, writing, math, that kind of thing, history, sociology, that kind of thing. But it never really gave me the real nitty gritty of the information that I wanted. So, yeah, folks, I have degrees on my wall in humanities and all this and stuff like that, but they're just pieces of paper. So there you go. Little something about myself. But anyway, yeah. So earlier at the beginning of the program, I told you I was called out by somebody, and it ended in a very positive manner, and I'm glad of that. And I want you, if you disagree with me, to do one thing and one thing only. Prove yourself right. Throw your information on the table of debate. We'll talk about it. I'll look at it. I'll examine it, and we'll discuss it. And if you don't want to do that because you think, well, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Well, okay, there's the door. Bye. Have a nice day. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to prove me wrong or anything like that. If you have an argument that you think is valid, throw your information on the table of debate and we'll talk about it. That's all. That's all I'm asking. It's very simple. If you don't want to do that, okay, have a nice day. There you go. But anyway, folks, I got to get out of here because, hey, I got things to do other than be in the studio and market this network. So, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, you want to ask me something, no question is off limits. You can ask me anything you want. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. It's that simple. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. You can go to the website at AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. That's American Liberty Radio at .weebly.com. Check that out. If you want to, advertise on the network, you can too. Go to the sponsors page on the website. Check it all out. Folks, what more can I say? Another podcast is done for the day. So I will see you tomorrow right here on American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. You can email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com and go to American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook, sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS.